Hello, this is Amber Willenberg from the U of L Libraries, and in this video, we're going to talk about the difference between academic and non-academic sources, develop a search strategy, and use that strategy to find sources for your final research project on a significant local issue. You will need 5 sources, which can be a combination of academic and non-academic sources. Let's start by talking about academic sources, also called peer-reviewed or scholarly sources. Let's take a look at this article, Reversing Food Desertification, Examining Urban Farming in Louisville, Chicago, and Detroit. This is a scholarly source, but how do we know this? First of all, we can read the abstract to see that this study is about the urban farming movement in 3 cities. In other words, this article is a study that presents the author's research. Academic articles are generally research articles that add new knowledge to an ongoing scholarly conversation, in this case, a larger conversation about reversing food deserts with urban farming. Next, we can see that the author works at Jindal Global University. Academic articles are most often written by professional scholars associated with a college or a university. You can see that this article was published in Local Environment. If we Google this title, we can easily find out that this is a peer-reviewed journal, meaning articles published in this journal undergo a formal review process involving other scholars reading and responding to the work. Finally, if we scroll to the end of this article, we'll find an extensive bibliography with pages of citations. Academic articles are written as part of a larger scholarly conversation on a topic, and the bibliography shows how the authors have situated themselves within that conversation. By citing academic sources like this in your own research, you're participating in the scholarly conversation as well. Compare this article to another article we'll take a look at, What You Should Know About Food Deserts in Louisville. This article is not academic, but that doesn't mean we can't use it for our research. Sources like news, magazines, and web sources written for the general public can still be useful for researchers like you. They are published much faster than academic articles, they can provide a quick overview of an unfamiliar topic, and they often bring in different voices that aren't represented in the scholarship. Non-academic sources like this are often found via Google, but you will find magazine and newspaper sources through the library as well. Sources like this are usually much shorter than academic articles and don't contain pages of citations, although they will often cite some sources. Non-academic sources are also sometimes written by reporters or journalists. When you're looking at non-academic sources of information, especially those you find on Google, you always need to assess the credibility of the information. One quick trick for assessing non-academic sources is to simply open up a new browser tab and search for information about the source. Don't just trust what a source tells you about itself on its own page. If we open up a new tab and search for Courier-Journal, we can see that it is a daily newspaper published in Louisville, and it has the highest circulation of any newspaper in Kentucky. The Wikipedia page for a source will often tell you about the source's funding and potential biases, which will help you determine if it's a credible source of information. If you ever have questions about the reliability of an unfamiliar source, you can always talk to your professor or a librarian. Now that we have an understanding of what academic and non-academic sources are, we can talk about finding them. The library is the best place to get started with your research, and it's especially useful for finding academic sources. These types of sources are expensive, and your tuition dollars help pay for the library to provide access to them. While you might be able to find some academic sources on Google, you'll often run into a paywall and not be able to read the whole article for free. Another issue with searching for peer-reviewed sources on Google is that you'll probably get millions of results for your search and have a hard time narrowing the results down to high-quality academic sources. In library databases, your searches will return fewer results, but the results have been curated by humans who decided that these sources are useful for academic research. However, because library databases are more specialized, it's helpful to develop a strategy before we begin searching. Let's say that we've decided to research food deserts in Louisville for our final research project. How can Louisville address its food deserts? If we were using Google to do our research, we could simply search for this question to get results. In library databases, though, we'll search using keywords, the most important words from our research question. In this case, Louisville and food deserts are the most important words from our question. We don't just want to stop there, though. It can be helpful to think about ways of broadening and narrowing this question with our keywords. Louisville is very narrow, and there might not be too much research on this exact city. We could add keywords like Kentucky and urban cities to broaden our search. For food deserts, we could think of related terms like food insecurity, affordable food, or food access. We could also add additional keywords to make our search more specific, such as potential solutions to food deserts like urban farming or government policies. Brainstorm as many broader and narrower keywords as you can. Having more keywords gives you more options for your search so you don't get overwhelmed or stuck when you start searching. Once you've developed your search strategy, you can begin using that strategy to find sources through the library. Let's get started on the library homepage, library.louisville.edu. If you're off campus, you can still use the library's resources. You'll just be prompted to log in with your ULink ID and password when accessing our resources. The best place to get started finding academic articles is our subject guides on the left side of the page under Quick Tools. These subject guides divide up library databases by subject area, making it easier for you to find the most relevant resources for your research topic. For our research question on Louisville and food deserts, relevant subjects might include history, public health, and urban and public affairs. If I click on public health, I'm taken to a page with a list of recommended databases for that subject. A database is simply a searchable collection of thousands of sources, most of them academic articles. Since you are all researching a wide variety of topics, I'm going to go to the Any Topic Guide and click on the first recommended database listed here, EBSCO Academic Search Complete. EBSCO Academic is a multidisciplinary database that covers a wide variety of subject areas. Most of you will be able to find sources for your research project in this database, but feel free to search in subject-specific databases as well. In EBSCO Academic, one of the first things you'll notice is that there are multiple search boxes at the top of the page. This is why we developed our search strategy with a list of keywords. We'll enter one keyword per box. Let's try some searches. First, we'll put Louisville in the first box and food deserts in the second. This search gave us just 18 results. We should look through these results and see if they're any relevant to our research, but this low number tells me there isn't a lot of research on food deserts specific to Louisville. But remember, we've already brainstormed several broader keywords, so we can easily broaden our search by replacing Louisville with urban cities. We now have about 90 results about food deserts in urban cities. When researching something as specific as an issue local to Louisville, you might have to find academic sources that speak to your research question, but aren't necessarily about Louisville itself. In this case, I could read about and apply solutions from other urban cities to the food desert problem in Louisville. Let's click on source type under the search box. You'll see these 90 results come from academic journals, news, and magazines. Because you can use all of these source types for your research project, you can go ahead and look through all of the results. Just remember to check how each article is labeled so you know if you are looking at an academic or non-academic article. If you only want to see academic sources in your list of results, you can simply click on peer-reviewed under the search box to get rid of everything else. At this point, you can begin looking through the articles to find sources that seem relevant to your research question. I'm going to go ahead and click on this article about food deserts in Mexico City. One thing to notice is the abstract. Always read the abstract because it will give you a quick overview of the whole article, helping you determine if it's useful for your research before you read the whole thing. Another helpful tool here is the Cite button. Click this to get the citation for the article, which you can copy and paste. If you decide you want to save this article to read later, there are a couple of options you can choose from. First, you can see if there is a PDF of the article available below the title. If so, you can access or download the article right away. Another option is to click Share to email yourself the article or save it to your Google Drive or OneDrive. Let's take a quick look at one other article. Notice that there is no PDF under the title. Instead, you can click Access Options and check for full text. When you click that button, you'll either be taken to a page with a link to the full text, or in this case, a message that says we do not have the full text for the article. That just means we don't own this article here at U of L, but we will request a copy for you from another school. Just click Request Item through Interlibrary Loan to place a request, and we'll send you a copy of the article, usually within a few days. If you ever have any questions while conducting research, librarians are here to help. On the library homepage, click Ask a Librarian to chat with us Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and find more ways to get in contact with us. You can even schedule an in-person or virtual appointment with a librarian for in-depth research help. Thanks!